What's up everybody, Andrew and Olivia here with our first video in a series of videos of fundamental movements that we can take you through just some body weight.
Today, we're going to start with the basic air squat. Right? This is a very fundamental move, but also one of the exercises that we see performed incorrectly in the gym.
More often than we don't.
Thanks. All right. So, starting from the feet, right? We want to make sure we have good foot position. We want to make sure our feet are at least shoulder width or wider, toes slightly out. Everyone's anatomically a little bit different, so whether you need to go a little bit wider, come a little bit more in, it's up to you. Do what's comfortable, all right? Once you've got that established, before we start an air squat, this is something that not a whole lot of people think about. Maintain full body tension, right? One of the best ways to do this, start by gripping the ground with your toes, right? If you're wearing shoes, grip the soles of your shoes, but we want to maintain that tension. This is going to keep our structure nice and firm, which is what we want. It's going to help us generate more power through the squat as well. All right, go ahead and turn. All right. Starting the movement. We want to start the movement with our hips, not our knees, right? Because we want to load the hips. If we start the movement with our knees, that's going to cause us, well, more than likely, push our knees past our toes while doing the squat. And that just pushed all of our weight onto the knees, right? Most times when people say that they can't do squats because it's bad for their knees, it's not the squat, it's their movement pattern, right? Continuous bad form, especially for a squat, can definitely ruin your knees over time, right? So we want to make sure we start with the hips, not the knees. Keep the hips back, keep the knees behind the toes, right? Also, while you're dropping down, when you're starting the movement with your hips, that's going to help you keep your weight on the heels. Ideally, you should be able to lift your toes up at the bottom of the squat because of how much weight you're keeping on the back of your heels, right? Next, going up to our back. We want to make sure that we maintain a nice flat back as we're going down, right? What Olivia's doing right here, putting her arms up in the air, right up in front of her, this is something that can help you maintain that nice upright position because of the way holding your arms out like this pulls on the muscles. Right?
Chest stays high, also helps with the arms.
Now let's talk about depth. This is something that this is where we see most of the mistakes coming from, is the depth in where their weight goes. A lot of times we see people putting the weight on their toes and their depth is not where it needs to be, right? If you cannot do a squat to the point where your hips are even with your knees and you make that nice 90-degree angle at the legs, I'm sorry to tell you, you're not doing a full squat, right? We see a lot of people, especially in the rack, in the squat rack, doing half reps with squats with weight that are beyond what they can actually do. So here's a good way to practice that depth. Box squats, right? Find a box or bench, something that is pretty stable, that is below knee level, right? The reason we want it below knee level is because whenever you're dropping down, right, your hips have to hit that knee level, so the bench itself needs to be below that point.
When you're as tall as me, it's hard to find things. Here we've got a medicine ball to show you.
Couldn't find a bench or box low enough. You want to maintain good control. If you hit a point while you're dropping down toward that box or bench and you drop, that's a sign that you don't have full control over that range of motion, right? So how do we get better at this? The best way at perfecting an exercise is by doing it over and over again, but consciously doing it over and over again. So key points of the air squat. Foot position, shoulder width or wider, toes slightly out. Start the movement with the hips, not the knees. Keep the knees behind the toes. Maintain full body tension throughout the entire exercise. Grip the ground with your toes. Keep your back nice and flat, chest up high, and weight on your heels. You use a box or bench that's below knee level in order to work on full depth, full range of motion. All right, y'all. That's the air squat. See y'all next time.